Hello, everyone. Welcome again to this new episode of the C-Suite MSP interview series. My name is Adlan Fella. I'm a chief analyst at Maravidis. And today I have the great pleasure to welcome Dave Jooste, who's the president of the MSP Association of America. Hello, Dave. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. It's been a few weeks since we managed to get on here, so I'm glad we're finally here.
Yeah, I know we all live busy lives, but it's great to have you and provide the opportunity for our audience to learn more about your association and yourself. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about you?
Yeah, sure. So I think a lot of people already know, but I am an MSP myself. That is my main job. And then a few years ago, myself and the two other partners of the association, we came together and we came up with this idea that we wanted to contribute back to the community. When I say community, I mean the MSP community, otherwise known as the channel. And we designed and developed the MSP Association to be a public-facing entity that basically allows MSPs to get in front of the business community throughout the United States. And it's been pretty good. It's blown up quite a little bit, to be honest with you. And essentially, that's what it is. It's a public-facing platform. So we get a large number of visitors going to the site and looking at MSPs, speaking with MSPs, and hopefully working with those MSPs through the platform. I know myself, I think I've already got 2 contracts through the platform itself, because obviously my MSP is on the platform as well. And I know a whole bunch of other MSPs have also secured some new client contracts through the platform. So it really works for a lot of people. And that's what the MSPAA is about. There's a lot more to it, obviously, right? But that's essentially what the backbone of the MSPAA is all about.
Okay. Obviously, our audience is more interested in the connectivity aspects, such as Wi-Fi and fiber and fixed wireless access, and any really technology that provides connectivity both to the premise and inside the premise. So, what can you tell us about your role and or involvement, what you know about connectivity among your members?
Yeah, well, so that's a very large field, right? You're talking that connectivity, and if you want to phrase it as that term, you're talking everything. Everything revolves nowadays around some sort of connectivity, whether it's internet, Wi-Fi, cellular, backup, whatever it is, it's all connectivity and it's all integrated. So when you're talking connectivity, you're talking whether it's an individual in a home or whether it's a business, and they need to be able to connect to XYZ. I don't know, let's call it Dropbox or Google Drive or whatever that is. Then you still have the Wi-Fi, and then you have cellular. So a lot of companies, what they do is you have your normal Wi-Fi internet connectivity, which is through your service provider. And you can deploy that in various shapes, forms, and sizes. And then what they do is they do a backup through a cellular backup. So if they lose some sort of internet connectivity through Comcast, Xfinity, then they piggyback on the cellular connectivity. AT&T is a very popular one, and they piggyback on that to make sure that their operations can still run. Now you start touching the bases. Okay, who does that? And there are lots and lots of companies out there who does that. There are some companies who focus on specifically that sort of field and connectivity. A lot of the telecom industry focuses on that as well, because they have the connectivity through phones and VoIP, and they're also starting to do a bit of Wi-Fi as well. But at the end of the day, whether you're a small business or whether you're an individual, some people just don't have the technical expertise to deploy those environments. So they rely on the experts. Now, whether that is a vendor or whether that is a managed service provider who actually go and deploys that, I mean, that's up to you. Whatever is you're trying to do, that's what you would essentially do. So that's how both worlds from a connectivity comes into the entire managed areas field, is because managed service providers do this. They specialize in it. And then they work with a lot of your connectivity providers to actually provide those services. And the MSPs go and deploy it and then manage it on behalf of clients as well as private individuals.
Sure. That's very helpful. Thank you. Tell us about the various verticals or industries that your members are from. Last time we spoke, you mentioned healthcare, real estate,
Yeah.
hospitality. What can you tell us about those verticals?
Honestly, you think about it, you probably got it. I mean, you know it. There's so many different types of businesses out there, and it doesn't matter whether you're a small mom and pop shop who deals in stickers, for argument's sake, or you're a full-blown medical enterprise. Whatever you're doing for a business, technology is the backbone of how you're running that business. Whether it's a computer, a Mac, email, drive, whatever it is, technology is the backbone of running it. So a lot of the verticals in the MSP space focus on those verticals. Obviously, healthcare is a big one. because healthcare is regulated. There's a lot of federal regulations around compliance that have to be enforced, or not enforced. Enforced is probably the wrong word, right? That have to be implemented. There's a better word to do. So a lot of folks focus on that as a vertical, whereas a lot of people focus on attorneys or even CPAs, accountants, because those industries have regulations. So it's not someone just trying to come in and say, you need this. I mean, if I go to your house, and I say, hey, you have this Wi-Fi, but it doesn't work. You need to buy this $2,000 system to get extra Wi-Fi. You're probably going to look at me and say, yeah, that's not happening today, right? But if you have a tax agency and you're dealing with people's IRS tax forms, you're required by law to have certain protections in place. And then for an MSP coming in, it's more about, okay, you don't have this, you actually do need it, it's your choice, but this is how you can go about it. So that's why a lot of MSPs focus on a lot of those regulated verticals. And it works very well for a lot of them. It really does, right? I think one of the verticals, and you mentioned when we started this call, one of the verticals where I think a lot of people miss out on is the connectivity part of it, is the specialization part of it. One of our MSPs, probably about a month and a half ago, he was actually looking for another MSP in Vegas because they were dealing with a problem of getting someone on site to deploy an entire new wireless infrastructure at the Venetian Hotel. Now, yeah, it sounds like a pretty easy job, but doing something like that in a hotel is not always the easiest thing to do, right? There's a lot of complexities involved in that. But that is another vertical as well. And it's just, what is the flavor of every MSP and which industry they want to go into?
Now, I would certainly not assume that implementing a wireless network in the Venetian is an easy task at all, given the sheer amount of, devices and guests and how important connectivity is in this environment, and security and all that. I mean, it must be, and the size of the hotel too is just huge.
Okay.
So let's dive into the impact of AI on your members. Do they see it more of a threat or more of an opportunity?
That's the big elephant in the room. And the simple truth is that it's not going anywhere. We all know that. And a lot of businesses know that. So CompTIA, which is now called GTIA, they released their 2025 MSP survey about 2 months ago. Just under 2 months ago. And AI was a very, very dominant feature in that future agenda or future prospectus that's coming out in the MSP world. And they had a staggering number, actually. And I can't quote the exact number, but it was roughly around about 65% of businesses are already engaging in some sort of AI integration or some AI usage. That's a staggering number. And to consider that, there's all the ethical issues that still go along with that. There's still all of the privacy issues that go along with that. And no one has a definitive answer yet. I know that the US government is working on a lot of stuff, but that's a big elephant in the room. So is it going to be used? 100%. Should MSPs be using it? Well, that's their own decision, right? Do individuals use it? That's kind of a moot point because we know that everyone uses it at some point. I think the question comes down to is how you use it. And, there are so many people saying, AI is going to take over this. I'm going to lose my job. And to be honest with you, that is a threat. And some people do see that as a threat. Does it mean it's going to take a job? No, it does not. Does it mean that if you don't jump on the boat and actually learn how to use modern technology to enhance your position? Yeah, you should probably be doing that because everyone's turning to AI to streamline operations, to cut down costs, to increase revenue. And if you as an MSP or communications provider, if you can streamline your operations using some sort of AI that is ethical and legitimate, then you're on the right path.
All right. And then there's, of course, another elephant in the room, which are the tariffs and how that's affecting MSP pricing structures.
So hold on. When you say tariffs, do you mean AI tariffs or do you mean just MSP tariffs?
No, the tariffs, the commerce tariffs now that are impacting the economy.
Yeah, that's, I think a lot of us have already started to see some of those and actually feel some of those. And honestly, all that's going to happen is us as MSPs, we have to increase our prices. That's the bottom line. That unfortunately means that our clients are in a decision where they have to then increase their prices, which they should be doing anyway, right?
Yeah, so I mean, most of the equipment, the MSPs are reselling or leasing, whatever, includes servers, firewalls, access points, switches. All of those are pretty much made in Asia, right?
Yeah, a lot of them are made overseas, and yes, there are tariffs on those. So here's the catch 22, right? Is that an MSP can go purchase a server for a client. Anyone can do that. That's easy to do, right? Is the cost going to be more? Yes, absolutely. Now, a client who is asking an MSP to do that doesn't even know what a cost of a server is generally because they're asking an MSP to do it. So they're just presented with a proposal on whatever that cost is, and the MSP is responsible for obviously managing their own costing with that. But it still doesn't mean it's not affecting everyone because it certainly is. There's no doubt about it. Just as a client, clients need to look at what their needs are and they need to look at what they're required to have versus what they want to have. Now, we all want the latest and greatest, right? We all want that. But the ability is just we can't all do that. We have
But
to
the question is has this impacted? Have you seen clients slowing down, delaying implementation of IT systems or connectivity because of tariffs? They're waiting and seeing.
Everyone, yes. Yes and no.
Okay.
Depends on where you are in the country and it depends on what your economy is. And I know in my MSP, yes, I have seen it. So I have absolutely seen some clients slow down and I've actually seen some clients start to try and look at secondhand equipment just to cut down on some of those costs. So yes, it does happen. But then I look at some of my other clients who are in other regions of the country, and no, the answer is no. Their industries are booming and they're going full steam ahead, so they want the latest and greatest. So it really depends on the industry and it depends on, what that client is feeling at that point in time.
Great. So final question, where and when can people meet you? When is the next event here?
Yeah. All right. So we as an association go to a lot of events around the country. Our next event coming up is at GTI Channel Conference in Nashville, Tennessee. We will be there. We get a lot of people coming through asking for resources and all this information. So I will be there. My whole team will be there as well. And then we have in the pipeline that we're just finalizing right now, a whole bunch of dinners for managed service providers. And those dinners happen at a lot of other events. And we also have some events coming up for MSPs as well as some vendors to deal in the financial sector, meaning that if you are looking for a workshop on taxes, we have one of our partners who's actually going to be hosting those workshops. And that will all be on our website, MSPAA.net. And you can go to Tech Talk. There's a whole bunch of stuff information there. You might get lost if you look, but just look around. There's a whole bunch of stuff on there and you'll find us there. And otherwise, we'll see you in Nashville.
Thank you. And that's a wrap. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Please don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel. And thanks, Dave, for sharing your insights with us today.
Yeah, no problem. You have a fantastic day.
Thank you.